feeling overwhelmed by the state of the world? You're not alone. In episode 17 of Give a Fuck, presented by Spark Consciousness, we are going to talk about how to find supportive connections and make a difference. I am your host, Sarah Woodard. Among other things, I am a certified shamanic practitioner, Reiki master teacher, activist, educator, speaker, and award-winning children's author. I am also a fierce defender of the underdog, which for me means wildlife, companion and work/farmed animals, Mother Nature, and Gaia herself. I care deeply about my fellow human animals and believe that when we learn to live in harmony with nature, we also learn to live in harmony with ourselves and each other. I am fearless about doing my own inner work and growth and am passionate about helping create a world where all beings are respected and honored. I have a deep connection to Gaia and feel particularly connected in the presence of the beautiful Colorado Front Range. When I am not busy working to present information about living in harmony with Mother Nature, I share my time with 3 wonderful cats, enjoy birdwatching, and experiencing all the outdoors has to offer. My life journey to this point has been filled with twists, turns, and changes, as I'm sure yours has as well. For me, the constants from birth to now are a strong connection to Gaia, a deep-seated need to serve and help create a more compassionate and healthy world, and a love of both learning and sharing my knowledge. Those lifelong constants are what brought me to this point. All of the knowledge I've acquired in the process of learning to live my life in harmony, as well as new information I come across, are the inspiration for and knowledge bombs presented in this podcast. I help soul-searching sensitive women nurture their sense of interconnectedness, feel confident in their purpose, and become compassionate contributors to positive change in their worlds. Unlike other spiritual life coaches who often rely on uncomfortable religious terminology or metaphysical techniques, I use connection with nature to guide you through a process of spiritual awakening and inner discovery so that you can nourish and spread your light to your community and beyond. The purpose of this show is to present new information and or old information in new ways to help you see connections and live in harmony. Sometimes I will also share additional resources as I love to help you continue learning. As a quick reminder, Give a Fuck is spelled F*K, and I would like to send a huge thank you to my existing Patreon subscribers. So you may have noticed there's been a bit of a gap between the last episode and this episode, and that the topic I had said, hey, next time we're going to talk about whatever it was at the end of the last episode, we're not talking about. I want you to all understand why. I try to be very transparent with you all, as you know. And I realized, I guess shortly after recording the last episode, that I needed to take a step back and revisit how I was presenting content, because I wanted it to be the most helpful and beneficial for all of you. But I also wanted it to be authentic and joyful for me to write. And of course, I wanted to help grow my business, right? I mean, that's what we entrepreneurs do, right? I'm an entrepreneur with a heart for sure, but we still, I get bills to pay just like you, right? So I needed to take that step back. And when I took that step back to start working on that and figuring out a new way of presenting information that was more beneficial and useful, I wound up taking kind of a step back almost in every aspect of my life. I am taking a vacation for the first time in 5 or 6 years. I have worked weekends even. Basically every single day for the past 5 or 6 years. I have worked in some capacity or another. No wonder I was feeling pretty burnt out and exhausted about everything. So taking that vacation really, really needed. And also wound up taking a step back in terms of, God, just everything. It's been a very introspective time, and I appreciate your patience and your understanding in giving me the space and the time off to do what I need to do to be my best self. So normally at this point in the show, we would answer questions submitted via Patreon. Given that it's been a bit of time since I've been on the air with you, I elected to just skip that section this time. Definitely feel free to still submit questions. I will definitely be answering them in the future, but I felt like for this one, let's just let's just skip that and let's just dive right into the Satan of the show. As I said at the beginning, we're going to talk about how to find supportive connections and make a difference when you're feeling overwhelmed by the state of the world. So tell me if any of this sounds familiar to you. Every time you turn on the news, you feel like you're drowning. There's just so much bad stuff, even on social media, wherever you get your news from. It doesn't have to be from the TV news. And it's constantly bad stuff, right? Our rights are being stripped away. There's natural disasters. There's hate crimes. It's just, oh my God, you feel like everything's going to hell, right? So as a result of that, maybe you've started to stay at home more to avoid all of the assholes out there in the world. You're feeling tense, anxious, depressed. You wish you could change things somehow, but you're not sure where to start or if anything you could do would even matter. You wish on some level you could even just ignore all of this bad crap, but you also know that ignoring it makes you part of the problem. I get it. I am right there with you. This is completely normal to feel this way. It's a lot. It's a lot for all of us to process. You are not alone with this. But imagine what could happen if you were empowered and supported to take action when you're feeling overwhelmed by the state of the world. So here's just a little quick story to illustrate what you might experience if you felt empowered. Let's pretend one day you're scrolling through social media and you see a post about a local community garden. And the post says that they're looking for volunteers and you're like, oh, that would be cool. Yeah. And you've always loved gardening. So you check it out. And the people there are welcoming and friendly and you feel like you belong. So you start to volunteer a few days a week. And in addition to clearing your head and feeling a lot less stressed about things, you get to know the other volunteers and feel more positive. And you realize other people are trying to make a difference too. And then you take it this next level because you overhear this conversation between two of the other volunteers talking about how they are concerned about the lack of affordable housing in the area. And you realize that this is something you're really passionate about too. And now, because you have the support of all of the other volunteers at the community garden, you feel empowered to start a petition and raise awareness about this issue. And it's amazing how quickly it gains traction. And within just a few weeks, you've collected hundreds of signatures and you're starting to get media attention. How amazing is that, right? You're going to be so proud of yourself. You're happy you found a place where you belong and you finally feel like you can make a difference, right? That is the power of finding those connections. And that is what to do when you feel overwhelmed by all these problems in the world. So if you are feeling overwhelmed by all the bad news and you want to find supportive connections, these are my top strategies to do that. And I'm going to break them into two categories. The first category is to connect with nature. So to do that, go for a walk in the woods. You clear your head, you can focus on the sights, sounds, and smells, and just let all of the stress of everything that bombards you just melt away. Also, when you get quiet in nature, you'll get to be able to process your feelings in a safe place. Similarly, you could sit by a river or a stream. The sound of that running water can be really calming. It helps you clear your head. And again, it's a safe place to process all those heavy feelings about the shit on the news or the assholes that cut you off in traffic or were rude at the grocery store. And then the other way to connect with nature is to write about what you experience when you're there. It's a great way to reflect on your feelings and do the inner work you need to do to find your passions, purpose, and inspire others. And to help you with that, I do have a free journaling challenge that you can sign up for, and I will drop the link for that in the show notes. So the second category is to connect with other people who have similar goals or values, kind of like in that little story I told you about the woman who volunteered at the community garden. So volunteer for any cause that you care about. It's a great way to meet those like-minded people who are as interested in creating positive change as you are. Just pick one or two causes to start with. As with the story I told you before, it may also lead to other passions and interests too, and that's part of the fun of it. Along those same lines, you could also join a group or a club. Again, this is a great way to meet new people and connect with others who share similar concerns as you do about what's happening in the world. You can find one that meets in person in your local area, or you can find one online. And I do have one that I have started called the Soulful Sisterhood, which I would love to see you there. Maybe you're thinking, I would love to do all this stuff, but the harder I try, the worse I feel. I get it. It is so depressing to watch the dumpster fire getting worse with each news cycle. You need to remember, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It is totally normal when you're learning about all of these problems in the world. It's a constant stream of shit, and it can make you feel like the world just sucks, and it can be really, really easy to get stuck in the belief that there's nothing you can do to make a difference. That's okay. Honor and validate your emotions. Use those feelings instead to inspire others. You can be a really powerful force for good if instead of shutting down, you learn to channel those feelings into actions. And you can inspire other people to do the same just by living that way. And then you can also find support in community. There are online and offline communities where you connect with people who are passionate about making a difference. They will provide you with support, inspiration, a sense of belonging, and they may also help you discover other ways that you can make a difference, ones that you hadn't thought of yet. Yes, the world totally feels like it's falling apart. The headlines are constantly hitting us with these horrifying stories. It sucks. And it's easy to feel overwhelmed, hopeless, and lost. But do not give up. You can make a difference. Use your voice. Share your story and your passion with others. You just never know who you might inspire. Take action. Every small action adds up to a big difference. No one can do everything, but we can all do something. And then find your tribe. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have that group of people who support you, that community of people who shares your values and your goals. Because then you're not alone in it. You're in it together. We are all in this together. So along those lines, I would like to invite you to join the Soulful Sisterhood. We are a group of women who are passionate about making the world a better place. We come from all walks of life, but we are united by our desire to use our voices and our actions to create positive change. In the Soulful Sisterhood, you will find support and inspiration from other women who are passionate about making a difference, opportunities to learn about and get involved in important causes, a safe place to share your thoughts and feelings. So, if you're ready to take action and make a difference in the world, I strongly encourage you to join the Soulful Sisterhood today, and I will drop that link in the show notes for you as well. In addition to the Soulful Sisterhood and the Journaling Challenge, which the links will be in the show notes for you, you can also find me on social media and on my website. Links, of course, are in the show notes. I encourage you to sign up on my Patreon page or to consider sponsoring an episode. Information about all of that is in the show notes as well. If your podcast platform allows, I would love for you to take a minute to just rate the show. It really helps any content creators that you love to increase their reach, and it's totally free to do. So please consider doing that, not just for me, but for any podcaster that you love. Because I took this step back, I can't tell you what's coming the next show because I'm still sort of working out the larger schedule, but I hope that you found this content to be very helpful and informative. And I will see you in 2 weeks with the next show. Until then, continue to expand your knowledge, feel the connections, and live with compassion.